Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, I want to tell you about Daniel, a man who was always available when someone needed help. If a friend needed a ride, Daniel came. If a colleague had a problem, Daniel stayed late. If a family member needed money, Daniel found a way to provide it. People called him reliable. They called him kind. They called him strong. But nobody asked a more important question. How are you doing, Daniel? For years, Daniel believed that being useful was the same as being loved. He answered every message quickly. He accepted every extra responsibility. He said yes before asking whether he had the time, energy, or money. Then one ordinary week, everything changed. Daniel lost his job. His savings became dangerously small, and a problem in his apartment required immediate attention. He called the people he had helped for years. The calls went unanswered. Some people were busy. Some promised to call later. Some simply disappeared. Daniel discovered a painful truth. He had built a life in which everyone knew how to receive from him, but very few people knew how to stand beside him. In today's story, Daniel learns that kindness without boundaries can become self-abandonment. He also learns that asking for help is not weakness, saying no is not cruelty, and rebuilding your own life is not selfish. As you listen, notice the natural English used for asking for support, setting boundaries, explaining feelings, refusing politely, and rebuilding trust. This is not a generic English study lesson. The language grows from real conversations about friendship, responsibility, work, and self-respect. Let us begin. The person everyone called first. Daniel worked in an operations team for a medium-sized company. His job involved solving problems, organizing schedules, and helping different departments communicate. He was good at it. When a project became confusing, Daniel made a list. When two colleagues disagreed, he listened to both sides. When someone missed a deadline, he quietly helped them catch up. His manager often said, "Daniel always finds a way." Daniel liked hearing that sentence. It made him feel important. Outside work, Daniel was the same. His sister called when she needed help filling out a form. His friend Marcus called when his car stopped working. A neighbor asked Daniel to carry boxes during a move. A former colleague sent a message whenever a computer problem appeared. Daniel did not always want to help. Sometimes he was tired. Sometimes he had plans. Sometimes he had his own work to finish. But when someone asked, he felt a familiar pressure in his chest. If he said no, he imagined the other person feeling disappointed. If he did not answer immediately, he imagined being called selfish. So Daniel usually said yes. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I will come. Yes, send it to me. Yes, do not worry, I will handle it. The words came easily. The cost came later. He canceled dinners, postponed errands, slept less, and used his savings to solve other people's emergencies. When friends thanked him, Daniel smiled. He did not tell them that he had become exhausted. He believed exhaustion was the price of being a good person. The yes that became a habit. Daniel's problem did not begin with one dramatic sacrifice. It began with small agreements. A colleague asked him to check one report after work. Daniel stayed for 2 hours. A friend needed a small loan. Daniel gave more than he could comfortably afford. His sister needed help moving to a new place. Daniel took a day off to help her pack. Each decision seemed reasonable by itself. The difficulty came from the pattern. Daniel kept giving, but he never replaced what he gave away. He gave away time without protecting any for himself. He gave away money without rebuilding his savings. He gave away attention without allowing his own mind to rest. One Friday evening, Daniel planned to meet an old friend for dinner. He had been looking forward to it all week. An hour before leaving, Marcus called. "Daniel, I have a problem with my car. Can you come?" Daniel looked at the message from his friend. The restaurant was already booked. He knew Marcus had other options. He also knew what he usually did. "Of course," Daniel said. When he arrived, Marcus handed him the car keys. "You are a lifesaver," Marcus said. Daniel smiled, but on the drive home, he felt empty. His friend sent a message. "Are you still coming?" Daniel typed, "I am sorry, something came up." He did not explain that the thing that had come up was another person's expectation. At home, Daniel opened his calendar. Every evening for the next 2 weeks contained someone else's request. A meeting, a favor, a family task, a repair, a promise he had made without checking his schedule. There was no space for his own plans. Daniel had become busy, but he was not moving toward his own goals. He wanted to take a professional course. He wanted to improve his health. He wanted to travel. He wanted to save for a better apartment. But every goal remained at the bottom of his list. The list was not empty. It was simply full of everyone else. The week nobody came. The crisis began on a Monday morning. Daniel's company announced that it was reducing staff. Several positions were removed, including his. His manager spoke kindly, but the result did not change. Daniel's last working day would be at the end of the month. He walked home with a folder in his hand and a strange quietness in his mind. Daniel had always believed that if something went wrong, he would find a way. This time, he did not know what to do first. He checked his savings. There was less money than he expected. He had used a large amount over the previous year to help other people. He did not regret helping them, but he now understood that generosity without planning had left him exposed. That evening, the ceiling in his apartment began to leak after heavy rain. The landlord said the repair would take several days and asked Daniel to move some furniture. Daniel called his sister. She did not answer. He called Marcus. Marcus sent a short message. "Sorry, I am busy this week." Daniel called 2 former colleagues. One was traveling. The other said, "I hope it works out." Daniel stood in the middle of his apartment while water collected in a bucket. He looked at the phone in his hand. For years, people had called him when they needed something. Now he needed something. The silence was painful. Daniel sat on the floor and began to cry. Not only because he had lost his job. He cried because he realized that he had confused being needed with being supported. He had made himself available to everyone, but he had not built relationships in which people knew how to support him. The next morning, Daniel wrote one sentence on a piece of paper. "I am not angry because I helped. I am hurt because I disappeared while helping." He read the sentence several times. It was the first honest thing he had written about his life. The conversation he had avoided. Daniel's sister Elena called 2 days later. "Daniel, I heard about your job. I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do?" Daniel almost gave his usual answer. "I am fine. Do not worry." The words were ready, but he stopped. He remembered the leaking ceiling, the empty calendar, and the unanswered calls. He took a breath. "Yes," he said, "there is something you can do." Elena became quiet. "What is it?" "I need you to listen for a moment." Daniel told her the truth. He explained that he had used too much of his savings helping other people. He explained that he had accepted more responsibilities than he could manage. He explained that he felt alone and ashamed to admit it. Elena did not interrupt. When Daniel finished, she said, "I did not know you felt this way. I did not tell you." "Why not?" "Because everyone thinks I can handle everything." Elena answered softly, "I thought you wanted to help." "I did, but I also wanted someone to notice when I needed help." The silence between them was not empty this time. It was space for the truth. Elena said, "I am sorry. I relied on you without asking what it cost you." Daniel felt a wave of relief, but he did not expect one conversation to repair everything. He said, "I should have spoken earlier. I often said yes when I meant, I'm not sure." Elena asked, "What would be useful now?" Daniel looked around the apartment. I need help moving the furniture away from the leak. I also need someone to review my monthly expenses with me. I can come tomorrow, Elena said, and we can look at the expenses together. Daniel almost apologized for asking. Instead, he said, "Thank you, I appreciate that." It was a small conversation, but it changed the direction of their relationship. Daniel had not demanded rescue. He had made a clear request. Elena had not guessed what he needed. She had asked. For the first time, helping went in both directions, learning the difference between kindness and self-abandonment. Elena arrived the next morning with a toolbox and 2 cups of coffee. They moved the furniture, cleaned the wet floor, and called the landlord again. Afterward, they sat at the kitchen table with Daniel's bank statements. Elena looked at the numbers. "You have helped many people," she said. "Yes. But you have not planned for your own emergencies." "I know." "Do you want advice, or do you want me to help you make a plan?" Daniel looked at her. "What is the difference? Advice is something I give you. A plan is something we create together." Daniel smiled. "Let's make a plan." They divided his expenses into 3 groups: essential expenses, flexible expenses, other people's emergencies. The 3rd group was the hardest to look at. It included loans that had not been repaid, subscriptions Daniel had purchased for others, and costs he had accepted without discussing them. Elena did not tell him to stop caring about people. She helped him see that care needed limits if it was going to last. Daniel created 3 new rules. He would not lend money that he needed for rent, food, or essential bills. He would not agree to a request immediately. He would give himself time to check his schedule and resources. He would not offer help that the other person could reasonably do themselves. The rules felt uncomfortable. Daniel had believed that a good person responded quickly. Now he was learning that a responsible person responded honestly. He practiced new sentences. "Let me check my schedule before I answer. I am not able to lend money right now. I can help for 1 hour, but I cannot stay all day. I understand that this is difficult, but I cannot take responsibility for it. I hope you find a solution. I am not available this weekend." These sentences sounded cold to him at first. Elena explained that a boundary was not an attack. It was information. It told another person what Daniel could and could not offer. A clear boundary could protect a relationship from hidden resentment. The first time Daniel said no. The first real test came from Marcus. Marcus called on a Tuesday evening. "Daniel, I need to borrow money for a repair. Can you send it tonight?" Daniel looked at his new budget. He could send the money, but doing so would leave him unable to pay an important bill. The old answer rose immediately. "Sure, how much do you need?" Daniel closed his eyes. He remembered the paper on his desk. "I am not angry because I helped. I am hurt because I disappeared while helping." He answered carefully. "I am sorry, Marcus. I am not able to lend money right now." There was a long pause. Marcus sounded surprised. "Why not? You always help me." Daniel felt the familiar guilt. He wanted to explain every detail. Instead, he said, "I am rebuilding my finances, and I need to protect my essential expenses." Marcus replied, "I thought I could count on you." Daniel swallowed. "You can count on me, to be honest. I cannot promise money that I do not have available." Marcus ended the call quickly. Daniel sat in silence. He felt guilty, even though he had done nothing wrong. That was how he learned that guilt could appear when an old habit was changing. Saying no did not feel peaceful immediately. It felt like breaking an identity. Daniel had been the person who solved problems. Now he was becoming a person who told the truth about his limits. The next day, Marcus sent another message. "I was upset yesterday. I understand that you have your own problems. I am sorry for putting pressure on you." Daniel read the message carefully. He replied, "Thank you for understanding. I hope you find a solution." He did not send money. He did not apologize for having a boundary. He also did not insult Marcus or end the friendship. He simply remained clear. The job search that needed more than a resume. Daniel had 1 month before his income stopped. He began searching for work immediately. In the past, he would have helped others first and worked on his own resume late at night. Now he protected 2 hours each morning for his job search. He updated his resume, contacted former colleagues, and applied for roles that matched his experience. But the process was difficult. During his first interview, the employer asked, "Why are you leaving your previous company?" Daniel almost gave a simple answer. "My position was removed." That answer was true, but incomplete. He wanted to explain what he had learned from the experience. He said, "My position was removed during a staff reduction. I am now looking for a role where I can use my experience in operations, problem-solving, and team coordination." The interviewer asked, "What is one strength you bring to a team?" Daniel answered, "I am reliable, and I can remain calm when a problem affects several people. I also know how to organize unclear information into practical next steps." Then the interviewer asked, "What is one area you are working to improve?" Daniel thought about his old habit. He did not want to describe it as a weakness without showing responsibility. He answered, "I used to accept too many tasks because I wanted to be helpful. I am learning to prioritize clearly, communicate my capacity, and set realistic deadlines." The interviewer nodded. That is a useful lesson. Daniel did not receive the job, but the interview gave him information. He needed to show more measurable examples of his work. He needed to describe results, not only personality traits. So he created a record of the problems he had solved during his career. He wrote what the situation was, what action he took, and what changed afterward. This helped him see the value of his experience. Daniel had always described himself as someone who helped. Now he could describe the skills behind the helping. Planning, communication, coordination, problem-solving, follow-through. His kindness had value, but his skills also had names. The people who stayed and the people who left. As Daniel changed, some relationships changed too. His sister became more supportive because Daniel began communicating honestly. 2 colleagues offered useful advice and reviewed his resume. A neighbor helped him find a temporary project. But some people became distant. They no longer called as often when they realized Daniel would not automatically solve every problem. At first, this hurt. Daniel wondered whether those relationships had ever been real. Elena gave him a careful answer. "Some relationships were built around what you provided," she said. "That does not mean every memory was false. It means the relationship needs a new shape." Daniel thought about this for several days. He did not want to punish people for needing help. He also did not want to return to disappearing inside their needs. He began asking better questions. "Do you want me to listen, or are you asking for practical help? What have you already tried? What part of this can you handle yourself? What kind of support would be most useful?" These questions changed conversations. Sometimes people only wanted to be heard. Sometimes they needed information. Sometimes they expected Daniel to take over because he had always done so. Daniel could now offer support without accepting ownership of another person's life. He also began asking for support before reaching a crisis. He told Elena when he felt overwhelmed. He asked a colleague to review an application. He told a friend when he needed company. At first, the requests felt awkward. He had more experience giving help than receiving it. But receiving help gave other people the opportunity to care for him in a real way. Daniel learned that independence did not mean doing everything alone. It meant participating honestly in the exchange of support. The opportunity he could finally accept. 3 months after losing his job, Daniel received a call from a former colleague named Priya. "I heard you are looking for work," she said. "Yes, I am exploring operations and project coordination roles. Our team needs someone who can improve communication between departments. Would you be interested in a short-term project?" Daniel was interested. In the past, he might have accepted immediately without asking about the schedule, payment, or responsibilities. This time, he asked clear questions. What would the main responsibilities be? How many hours would you expect each week? What is the project timeline? Who would make the final decisions? Priya answered each question. The project would last 3 months and require about 20 hours per week. Daniel had enough time to continue searching for permanent work. He accepted. During the project, Daniel helped the team identify repeated communication problems. He created a simple process for recording decisions and following up on tasks. He did not do everyone else's work. He made responsibilities visible. When someone missed a deadline, Daniel did not quietly fix it without explanation. He asked, "What is preventing you from completing this, and what support do you need?" When someone added a new task, Daniel said, "I can take this on, but we will need to move one of the current priorities. Which should come first?" These sentences helped the team make decisions instead of placing every problem on Daniel. At the end of the project, Priya offered him a permanent position. The role had more responsibility than his previous job, but it also had clearer expectations. Daniel accepted after reviewing the terms carefully. He was grateful for the opportunity. He was also proud that he had accepted it without abandoning his own limits. He was no longer trying to prove that he could carry everything. He was building a career he could continue carrying. When helping became a choice. 1 year later, Daniel's life looked different. He had rebuilt his savings slowly. He had paid off some personal debts. He had a stable job and a clearer schedule. He still helped his family and friends. But helping was now a choice, not an automatic reaction. When someone asked for assistance, Daniel paused. He checked his resources. He considered whether the request was urgent. He decided what he could honestly offer. Sometimes he gave time. Sometimes he gave information. Sometimes he offered encouragement. Sometimes he said no. His sister noticed the change. "You seem calmer," she said. "I am not carrying every problem as if it belongs to me." "Do you feel less kind?" Daniel thought about the question. "No, I think my kindness is more honest now." He remembered the week nobody came to help him. He no longer used it only as evidence that people were selfish. He used it as a lesson about the kind of life he had built. He had taught people to come to him with emergencies. He had not taught them how to know him beyond what he could provide. That changed when Daniel began showing his full self. He told people when he was tired. He expressed disappointment without attacking. He requested support without shame. He protected his money and time without becoming cruel. He allowed relationships to become more equal. One evening, Marcus visited Daniel's new apartment. The ceiling was dry. The calendar contained Daniel's own plans. There was a small desk near the window where he studied and planned his next goals. Marcus looked around and said, "You have changed." Daniel smiled. "I hope so." "Are you still going to help people?" "Yes, but I'm not going to disappear while doing it." Marcus nodded. "I think I understand now." Daniel did not need Marcus to apologize for every past request. He only needed the relationship to become more honest from that day forward. The most important person Daniel had learned to help was himself. Not because he mattered more than everyone else, because he was also someone worth caring for. The lessons from Daniel's story. Let us remember 5 lessons. First, kindness needs boundaries. You can care about people without accepting every request, paying every cost, or solving every problem. Second, being needed is not the same as being supported. A healthy relationship includes giving, receiving, listening, and asking. Third, do not answer immediately when you feel pressured. A short pause can help you respond honestly instead of automatically. Fourth, a boundary is information, not punishment. "I am not available" explains your capacity. It does not attack the other person. Fifth, asking for help is a form of honest communication. People cannot always support what you hide from them. Daniel did not become hard-hearted. He became more present in his own life. He continued helping others, but he stopped treating his own needs as interruptions. You can be generous without becoming empty. You can be reliable without being permanently available. You can love people without carrying every consequence for them. And you can begin rebuilding your life by saying one honest sentence today. Natural English for asking and receiving support. 1. I need to be honest about my situation. Use this when you want to explain your real circumstances instead of pretending that everything is fine. Example: I need to be honest about my situation. I cannot take on another responsibility this week. 2. What kind of support would be useful? Use this to ask what a person actually needs. Example: I want to help. What kind of support would be useful? 3. I need some time to think about it. Use this when you do not want to answer under pressure. Example: Thank you for asking. I need some time to think about it. 4. I'm not able to do that right now. Use this to refuse a request clearly and politely. Example: I am sorry, but I am not able to do that right now. 5. I can help for 1 hour. Use this to offer limited support. Example: I can help for 1 hour, but I cannot stay all afternoon. 6. I cannot take responsibility for that. Use this when another person expects you to own a problem that is not yours. Example: I understand the difficulty, but I cannot take responsibility for that decision. 7. I appreciate you asking. Use this to remain respectful even when your answer is no. Example: I appreciate you asking, but I am not available this weekend. 8. I would like to ask for your help. Use this when you need support. Example: I would like to ask for your help with my application. 9. I do not want advice right now. I need someone to listen. Use this to communicate the kind of support you want. Example: I do not want advice right now. I need someone to listen. 10. Let's find a solution we can both manage. Use this when responsibility needs to be shared. Example: Let's find a solution we can both manage. Boundary conversation practice. Read this dialogue aloud as two people, then change the situation. Friend: Can you help me move this weekend? Daniel: I appreciate you asking. I need to check my schedule before I answer. Friend: I need to know now. Daniel: I understand, but I do not want to make a promise I cannot keep. Friend: You always help me. Daniel: I know, and I value our friendship. This weekend I can help for 1 hour on Saturday morning, but I cannot stay all day. Friend: That may not be enough. Daniel: I understand. If you need more time, let's find another solution together. The useful structure is: acknowledge the request, ask for time, state your limit, offer what you can, leave responsibility where it belongs. Now practice a money conversation. Friend: Can you lend me money until next month? You: I am sorry, but I am not able to lend money right now. I am rebuilding my emergency savings. I hope you find another solution. Now practice asking for help. You: I need to be honest about my situation. I am feeling overwhelmed, and I would like to ask for practical help. Friend: What kind of support would be useful? You: Could you help me review my options and stay with me while I make a plan? Emotional communication practice. Use these sentences when you want to express your feelings without blaming another person. I felt alone when I needed support and did not know who to call. I should have spoken earlier instead of pretending that I was fine. I appreciate what you have done, but I also need to protect my own limits. I am not angry because I helped. I am hurt because I disappeared while helping. I want our relationship to feel more equal. I care about you, but I cannot solve this problem for you. I am willing to listen, but I am not able to take over. I need support, not pressure. I want to help in a way that I can continue. Let's talk about what each of us can realistically do. These sentences are useful because they describe your experience without turning every difficult conversation into an attack. Your English challenge. Write 3 short sentences. First, describe one situation in which you need a boundary. I am not able to blank right now. Second, offer a realistic alternative. I can help by blank. Third, ask for support. I would like to ask for help with blank. For example, I am not able to work late tonight. I can help by reviewing the first page tomorrow morning. I would like to ask for help with the remaining tasks. Now complete this reflection. I often say yes when I really mean blank. From now on, I will give myself time to blank. Your sentences do not need to be perfect. They need to be honest. Daniel spent years believing that a good person was always available. He thought saying no would make him selfish. He thought asking for help would make him weak. He thought other people's emergencies were automatically his responsibility. But life taught him a different lesson. You can help people without abandoning yourself. You can offer kindness without offering everything. You can pause before answering. You can say, I am not able to do that right now. You can say, I need some help. You can let another person carry part of the responsibility. If you are always the helper, ask yourself whether people know how to support the real you, not only the useful version of you. If you are tired, do not wait until a crisis forces you to speak. Start with one honest sentence. A boundary may disappoint someone for a moment, but hidden resentment can damage a relationship for years. Daniel did not stop caring. He simply learned that he was also part of the life he was responsible for protecting. Thank you for learning with me. If this story helped you, like the video, subscribe for more English learning stories, and share it with someone who is always there for everyone else. Keep communicating honestly, keep protecting your peace, and I will see you in the next lesson.